Hey there, welcome to another Curtis Stage video tutorial. Today's tutorial is in Photoshop and we're going to be doing a drawing based on shapes. So let's get started. So today's demo is going to feature an artist illustrator named Charley Harper, and we're going to do a copy of one of Charley Harper's Cardinals. It's kind of easy to draw in Photoshop, and I'll give you kind of a lot of basic ideas on great ways to do minimalist shape drawings. This is especially great if you're not the best drawer, but you still want to create kind of interesting graphics through Photoshop. This is a great way to start that. So Charley Harper, fantastic influence on illustrators over the years and artists. So let's get going on this. So I've got Photoshop open. I'm going to create a new document. So when I create a new document, I'm going to get this dialog box open. It will show you a list of your recent items, obviously, and it also shows you a list right up here of some presets that you can kind of use that are common sizes, right? We're just going to go over here to the right-hand side, and we're going to pick inches, and we're going to make this one 6 inches by 9 inches high, and our resolution is going to be 200. So everything else on here is fine. RGB color, white background, all great. Click create. So I have this Charley Harper Cardinal open, not in Photoshop, but I just have it open in an image preview on a Mac. You do the same thing on a PC. I don't really need it open in Photoshop. You could if you want. You could have it as another tab and have it open, or have them both open at the same time. I'm just gonna have it open here just to reference. So when I'm starting off, I want to create a background, create a layer above the background, transparent layer. This is where we're going to get started. I usually like to put each or almost every body part for this cardinal on its own layer, not have everything on one layer, because of course you can't move the things afterwards, you can't modify them. So we want to have everything on its own layer. I'm going to start off with the kind of teardrop shape that we've got of the cardinal. So to do that, there's going to be multiple tools that we're going to use here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to draw a perfect circle shape. I'm going to start there. So I'm going to go down to my shape tool and go to the ellipse. So this ellipse, if I want to get a perfect circle, I'm going to show you how, but I want to start off with my fill and stroke. I want this to also be a shape. I've got 3 choices up here: shape, path, pixels. I want to pick shape because then I can go and re-edit and change colors later. It'll be what's called a live shape. Path, I don't really need it as a path, and pixels don't really need it as that. So I'm going to click shape. I'm going to go here. I'm going to pick, we're going to just go kind of a straight red right now. It's a little bit brighter than Charley Harper's red, but we're just going to go right, if I kind of click RGB open and click this very first red one, that one would be good. We can darken it later, but for now that's going to be great. I don't want to have a stroke or an outline, so I'm going to click on the options bar where it says stroke, and I'm going to hide that right there so that there's no stroke on that. Then I'm going to close this by just clicking right here. Okay, to get a perfect circle on my canvas here, I'm going to hold down Shift on my keyboard, and as I draw, when I hold down Shift, and if I hold down Alt or Option, so Alt on a PC, Option on a Mac, so I start off with Shift, then I click Alt or Option, and I'm going to drag it about yay big here, and then let go. Now I've got a perfect circle. Now if you didn't get it perfect, it's not a problem, because you can go over to the Properties panel. And of course, all of our panels are located in a window, Properties, and since this is a live shape right here, I can go and alter the size of this. So if I didn't get it the perfect size, let's say if I just want it 4 inches by 4 inches and just make it even more perfect, I could do that. So if you drew it and it wasn't quite exactly right, no big deal, don't worry about it. This is the height and width right here that you can transform it after the fact. The X, Y if I go to the move tool, you'll see this in action. It's just where it is located on my canvas in X, Y coordinates. So don't worry too much about that. I don't need it in the center, but if you want to get it kind of in the center, look at how I can get it right to the center of my Photoshop document. And you're probably saying, well, hey, wait a minute, what are those pink little bars coming up? Those are smart guides. If I go to View and go to Show, then I've got smart guides on. And this will give me, it'll just kind of give me little tips on where things are at just by dragging around. Okay, I am right in the dead center there. So that's a way to get it in the center. We can move it later if we want to. Again, we can also change this color now after the fact too. So I start off with this red, but if you'll see right here on the properties panel, I can go to the fill and open this up. And I don't want to pick any of these that are pre-made. I want to actually go right over here to the right-hand side. And I want a little bit more maroon. So I'm going to add a little bit of shade in this, right? Tints go white, shades go dark. So I'm just going to go down the right-hand side, get a little bit more maroon going by adding some gray into this. So I'm at one, maybe 190 by 4 and 4, right? And this could be 0 and 0, and it'll be right along that edge. So there's no green and no blue whatsoever in this. So only 190 out of a possible 255 of red. So I just went straight down. Click OK. So now that's a little bit better. It's a little darker than Charley's Cardinal, but we'll go with it. Okay, just shows you how you can change the color after the fact. I'm going to close that. So I really don't need the properties panel open right now. I'm going to move that over here. Now, this is one big shape here where I've got this kind of teardrop thing happening in here, and clearly we need to add that next. So I'm going to create another layer for that, and then I can merge these layers together. So I'm going to add a new layer. I'm going to create a new shape. This shape is going to be a triangle, and then we're going to modify that triangle. So I'm going to go back over here to my my shapes tool, and I'm going to go to the triangle tool, which is great. This is a new addition in the latest version of, or close to the latest version of Photoshop. So I'm going to click the triangle. I've still got the same fill that I had before. I can change that if I need to now. So if I can click here and go here, and I know what my number is. I think it was 194, I believe. And if it's not, I can double check, but remember correctly. So now I'm going to draw this triangle. Now, drawing a perfect triangle, right? If I hold shift down, it's going to kind of draw a perfect triangle, obviously. I don't need to really hold shift down, but look what happens if I don't. It's a free triangle, right? And I may want to do that with this because I don't really need a perfect triangle on this shape. I'm going to undo. So you can see how tall this one gets right here, right? You can see kind of the height that it gets. So if I was going to draw this out, the circle's right here, and the circle top would be right here. So I want to kind of draw this kind of thinking, okay, what do I, where's my height need to be? Now I can always change it later, which is great. So I'm going to start drawing, and I'm kind of just eyeballing it here. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but maybe something like that. I'm going to get to my move tool and kind of move it into place. Okay, so it looks kind of like a Jack-in-the-Box dunce hat. I can see that they're not exactly the same color tone, but that's fine. I can change it in a sec. So if I'm looking at Charley Harper's Cardinal and mine, that's pretty good. So let's look at the properties panel here. So I've got the width is 257, the height's 274. So the height is, a little bit higher. I'm going to make this width a little bit wider. So I'm just going to, now I can just do it right here. Check this out. Do you see how I can hover my mouse over the W and I can drag that bigger? Pretty cool. And it'll make it wider. And I'm kind of putting it like that. Nice. Okay, pretty good. The height I think's good. I don't think I need to do too much with that. So I'm kind of trying to find the spot. I don't want it right at the top. It looks kind of like a dunce hat. I don't want it right at the top. I kind of want it a little, it's kind of eyeballing it. There's not a perfect size here for this. Okay, if I did want to change the height, I could change the height. Notice it's kind of moving in whatever direction, moving down to the right. If I hold Option, if I hold shift down, no, I guess it doesn't do it. I was trying to hope that maybe it would go on center, but it doesn't. So I can change that height right there as well. All right, so anyways, I'm going to move this into place. Now I want to give it a slight little bend to it. Okay, I want to give it a slight, because you can see it's got a slight teardrop shape. Okay, but I want these two files to kind of merge together before that happens. So I want to give it that bend, but I want to merge them. Or maybe I don't. I could kind of merge them later, I guess. So there's a couple ways you can do that. One way you could do it is do the Command T, and then you can go up here to the top to this warp tool. And when you click that warp icon on the options bar, you can then click one of these sides and move in like this, right? But you got to get both sides kind of exactly the same. Okay, so then you can take the edge and kind of do this. So you can see, you can kind of, that's why I didn't need it to be perfect, but you can see you can kind of grab corners. It's kind of fun right here, and you want to try to do it. And you can zoom in, Command plus, get in there, and you can really kind of move this around and get it the way you want it. So I'm kind of just eyeballing it. Again, we don't have to make it exactly like his, but we want to make it kind of cool, kind of close. So these right here, these little handles will help you kind of position things even better. If I move them down or in, you can kind of see what they do. So on yours, you're going to want to just kind of position them. I try to do the same thing on both sides, right, to make this super symmetrical. It's kind of easy to do because you just can look at where you're at on both. But if you need to even to be cleaner, you can go and turn on your grid. If you go to view up on the top and then you go to show, you can turn on your grid, and my grid's pretty big right here, so I might want to make that a little smaller. So here's how we do it. I go to photos. Oh, I gotta probably hit the check mark on this if I'm going to do that. So hit the check mark and go to view, preferences, and then I can go in here and say guides, grid, and slices. And when I do that, this dialog box comes open. And here's the grid area. And I have a grid every 3 inches. Well, that's not great. So I'm going to do a grid every ½ inch, like that, 0.5, and then subdivisions. And let's see what that looks like. There's a preview. So that's pretty good. So I can go back to my Command T and go back to my warp tool. Now, it's not going to remember the warp that you had on before, unfortunately. So just be aware that once you start doing this, if I would turn your grid on first probably. So that's how you get your grid on, and then you can really kind of line up things better. I think mine looks good, so I'm okay with that. But look, I can even see on this grid that that one is a little bit higher than that one. Whatever, right? It's pretty close. So I can get in here and kind of move these in. I can say, okay, I want that one on the middle of that grid line right there. Let me zoom in, use my space bar to move around. So maybe I want that right there. And you can even do subdivisions on this grid and get it really dialed in. And then I can kind of match that one right here, right? And get those, yeah, close enough, right? Pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna hit the check mark when I'm done. It looks good, and get rid of that. And I'm gonna go into view, and I'm gonna just turn off that grid right now. There's a keyboard shortcut, right? And whether you're Mac or PC, you usually see all the, if there is a keyboard shortcut, it's going to show it right there on the edge. Okay, so now I've got that part right there. That's the body. This is great. Now I want to merge these two together. So I'm going to hold Shift down, right? And I can put them in their own folder, which would be good, or I can merge them. So if I put them in a folder together, then I can go and re-edit if I need to. So I can go down in here and now click the folder icon, and then that's the body. If I merge them, then I can't go edit after the fact. So sometimes I like to put them in their own folder just to kind of, you know, just in case there was something I didn't like, an edge was sticking out or something weird was happening. So I think that looks pretty good. So again, there's my, I named it body. Now let's do our next item here. The next thing is going to be this kind of black kind of shape that's behind the beak. So I'm going to add a new layer for that. It's going to be above my body layer, right? It has to be, otherwise it'll be behind. So this is going to be this black area here. Now with this one, we're going to be able to this is going to be an interesting shape because it's going to be a square with then a circle kind of attached to it. So let's do that first. Let's do the square first. So I'm going to go here, go to my rectangle tool. I'm going to turn the fill to black. So just pick black in here, click on fill. And if you don't see black, usually you see in recently used colors. If you don't see it, it's going to be in grayscale, right? And then black will be right there. Okay. So now I've got that. And again, if you want to lock your other layer just in case, so you don't screw anything up, I locked that layer, so now I've got my body layer locked, and I'm only on layer 1. So if you look closely, let me bring this guy in here and a little bigger. You can see that the top of the square is going to kind of line up kind of above the I'm calling it a shoulder right here. Here's the wing shoulder, so it's going to be kind of above that. Obviously you don't want it down by the wings, so it's going to be up here, so kind of like right up here on my guy. So let me do that. Let me go to the square. I'm going to draw this, and I don't need to necessarily hold anything down. I'm just going to kind of go across, and again, after the fact, I can always go edit this. I don't want it to be super huge, right? It's just going to be small, something like that, because I'm going to add a circle onto the bottom of it. So something like this. Pretty good. Okay, I think I got it in the right spot too. Now I'm going to add a circle shape sitting right on top of that. I'm going to add a new layer, and now I'm going to go to my ellipse tool, and I want to draw a perfect circle kind of radiating down out of here. So I'm going to start drawing and then hold shift, and again, if I don't get it exactly perfect, it's okay, because I can change it on my, let me bring it down here. See, I didn't get it exactly perfect, but pretty good, and I can change it on my properties panel. So if I go here, I'm like, yeah, that needs to be smaller, and I can move it around, get it in there. I'm going to zoom in. It seems way bigger than Charlie's. All right, we're going to have to modify this a little bit. So anyways, I'm going to bring it up and bring that width in, and notice how because this lock is right here, it's going to go together, the width and the height. Trial and error getting that size. So that looks good. Now I'm gonna these two I'm gonna merge. So I'm gonna click on both of them and move my properties panel over here. I'm gonna hold shift down and click both of them, and so I'm gonna go to layer, and I'm gonna say merge shapes. Now it's still a live shape, by the way, so I can get back in and still edit this at, you know, the fill color and all that, which is great. But now I can shrink this down. Clearly it's too big, so Command T. It's a live shape, so they're both going to go together. And then I can bring this up, and let me zoom out to get a little better look here. So I need to, just mine was too big and need to go up a little higher anyway. So I'm going to go a little smaller even, go up a little higher, hit the check mark. Okay, that's cool. That's pretty good. That's looking proportionally decent. Okay. Okay. All right, now I'm going to add a new layer, and this is going to be the beak layer. So obviously 2 triangles. Well, we've already created a triangle already, so this is going to be easy. So I'm going to go back to the shapes tool on the toolbar, go to the triangle tool, and I'm going to kind of find a good orange color. Well, here's one right here if I go to recently used, but let me go to CM. Let's see, where would I want to go to here? Well, you know what? I'm just going to go right up here and the color picker, and I'm going to go straight up to orange and something like this. Maybe it's a little darker. So let's make it even. 230 by 60 green and 0 blue, and click OK. All right, so that's going to be my fill color, no stroke. Okay, I've got a top and a bottom, so I'm going to draw a triangle right here, and again, I don't need to even get it perfect yet. I'm just kind of looking at, okay, this is going to be, it's kind of short and stout, and I can kind of bring it over after I've drawn it. Awesome. I don't want to reinvent the wheel, so I'm going to just duplicate this, right? And one way to do that is go to my move tool, and then go option or alt click and drag, and then I'm going to Command T transform and reverse this. So I'm get that reversed, and I didn't get it exactly perfect, so let me kind of get it perfect here. And right up here on the options bar I can put -180, so it is perfect right up there. See that? So that's my angle right there. Awesome. Hit the check mark, and then there's a little gap. I didn't get it perfect. Let's see, wait, Does he have a little gap there? There's a gap between them, but does he have a gap? Oh yeah, he does, on the edge. And it looks like this triangle is slightly smaller than the top one, right? So drawing's about looking, right? Looking really closely at things. So I'm gonna make this bottom one Command T, a little smaller, or Control T on a PC, and I'm going to make it a teeny bit smaller, grabbing that corner, and not a lot, just a little bit, and I'm going to bring it up, and you can decide how much space you want between your, let me get it, right, oops, don't, 0, and hit the check mark. And that looks pretty good. Let me move this. So I'm going to incrementally move. See how the beak is a little over to the right a little bit? I'm going to click the top beak, which is the layer below over here. And I'm going to just nudge it with my arrows on my keyboard. And I just nudge that over and I can get it perfect. So I like that. And let's see, how does he have it? He has it almost kissing the top of that black part there. So I think that's pretty good. And if you want to make this a little squattier, you could, right? This one right here, you could Command T and make it a little shorter. And if you hold Shift down, it's a free transform. So I'm going to make that just a little shorter. So I'm going to hold Shift, and there we go. I kind of like that better. It gives a little difference there. Okay, nice. So I'm going to put those two beaks in their own folder. So I'm going to do that. Hold Shift and click on both of them. Click the folder icon, right? And then call this beak. Okay, there we go. Don't need a folder for this back area. Now let me get the eyes on there. So then we've got, right, two little circles right on the corners up here. So let me go back to my shape tool. Oops, back to my shape tool. Ellipse tool. I'm gonna fill, I gotta get black. Recently used. Nice. And I'm just gonna kind of hold Shift down and get a perfect something like that. Get my move tool, move. I'm only making one, right? I'm going to make a copy of this. I'll move it into place, use my arrow keys, get it just on that edge. Then I'll take this, hover my mouse over it, hold down Option or Alt on my keyboard. Option if you're a Mac, Alt if you're a PC, and move that over. Look at that. Nice. Cute. Looking good. All right, so now we need to have the we need to do the back tail feather and the two wings, and then we got legs, and we're almost done. So we're getting there. I want this to be a little sharper here, so I may go back in the end and edit that. It's a little funky right at the top there. I want it to even be a little bit more teardrop shaped, but I'm liking it. I can kind of tell almost it's a bird. So let me make a triangle for the tail here. I'm going to move the whole thing down, right, by holding Shift down and grabbing everything. So I click at the top, hold Shift down, grab it all. Oh, I'm gonna have to unlock the body, and then I can take, oops, then I can take the whole thing down if I grab Shift. And if I go up here to auto select and say group, then it should grab the whole thing. I'm gonna bring him down a little bit. He's a little high. Okay, now I'm gonna lock the body again. I can lock any of these other layers here too if I need to. And you can make a folder for the eyes, right? If you want. I like making folders for everything too. Just organizes it. Name that eyes. See how I just double click in there to name it? All right. Now, make the back tail here. So I'm going to do a triangle. I love it, right? It doesn't even have to be a perfect triangle, obviously. I'm just going to make it kind of, this is going to be interesting because I've got to kind of, it's almost a half triangle, right? So I'm going to have to like screw with this later, but I'm just going to kind of draw it and then flip it. So I'm going to do this. Oh, wrong color too. Let me color pick. So I'm going to click on this, and recently used, I think it's this one, and I can change them all later. And then I'm going to change this around and use my move tool. Now again, we don't have to make it exactly like his, but you can see that there's one big difference here. And this actually starts way up here at his, if you look at Charlie's drawing, this tail feather actually starts up by where his mouth is. It's kind of deceiving, but It looks like it'd be lower, but it actually starts up here. Okay, now I want to have kind of this side, right? It's chopped off at the top, so this triangle is going to be lower over here. So when I click over here, it's a live shape, right? So I want to be able to edit that corner. I want to be able to get in there and edit that corner. Now, so far we've only edited it all at once, right? With the width and the height. But what I want to do is I want to be able to edit that each point individually. So let's do that. By doing that, or the way to do that is to go down to our direct select tool. So it's right here that you see this black tool, black path tool. We want the one under it, direct selection tool. And now I can edit each individual one of these anchors. So I can take this anchor and then I can use my arrow key on my keyboard. It's going to actually ask me if I want to turn this into a regular path. I'll say yes, it's fine. Then I'm going to bring this down just by using my keyboard, and I'm eyeballing it here, get it kind of straight, straight as I can right here. Something like that. Pretty good. Okay, so to make the little lines, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 lines on his tail. Let's make a new layer. Okay, I'm going to lock my back feather layer just for now so I don't accidentally screw that up. I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to go to the line tool, which is inside our shapes. So down here, I'm going to make my fill black. And this is your size right here. So you've got like this, we want stroke options right here. And actually the fill doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to watch, I'll do one. There's my size here, and you can adjust it after the fact. So you can go in here. So don't worry if you didn't get the size great, because you can always go and change it later. So I'm just guessing on here. I'm going to say pixels. Well, let me lay it on there. I'm going to lay it on there and get it in place. I'm going to zoom in. Right? Get it close. He has it even kind of going off the edge up there. Then I can move it into place. And again, you have to have the layers below, below locked. Now, once I like that size. My size was 7. Let's just make it an even 7 to make this just easier. 7px on that. Pretty good size. 7 pixels. So then now I don't need to make another one of these. I've got this one. I'm just going to copy it. So I'm going to click on Option, hover over it, and drag. All right. And then Command T on that one. And this is where I want to zoom in a little bit and grab this edge and something like that, right? And he did 4 of them. I'm just going to do 3. I think 4's kind of, we don't need to do 4. Let me get that up there, and you can fine tune and get that dialed in. So and then I'm going to do another option, click and drag. Makes another layer. See that? I've got 3 layers now of tail lines, and now I'm going to do Command T on that. So I'm going to click on that, Command T, and I hold my mouse to this edge right here, and I'm just, see that? I'm just kind of going over and bring it down a little. He has it got the angle right. Now I'm gonna just move it with my arrow keys, move it up. Perfect. I'm gonna move it up. Oh, I see. And he's going off. You know what? I'm gonna go off the edge a little bit too. So I'm gonna click on the second one and go up. I'm gonna try to make him as even as possible. And in a little bit, something like that. Kind of cool. All right, done with that. Now we just have the 2 sides. I'm just going to make one and then copy it over. So before that though, I'm going to group these, the whole tail feather situation with this triangle. I'm going to unlock that, and I'm going to group those together, and I'm going to say tail. Okay, you're getting the hang of this now. And then I'm going to go to a new layer, and I'm going to do a wing. The wing's going to start here, so it's going to be a circle, but kind of a half circle. So I'm going to make the circle, and then I'm going to cut it. So watch how I do that. This is pretty cool. So I'm going to go to the ellipse tool. I'm going to get just a darker shade of red, so I don't want to fill. I'm going to go back to, excuse me, I don't want a stroke. I'm going to go to the fill. I'm going to go click here, but then I'm going to go to the editor here, color picker. I'm going to get a little darker shade, just a little bit more. So it's 165.00. And now I'm going to draw this circle. Now I know it's going to be weird. It's going to be like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So I'm going to draw this circle. I'm going to get it kind of close. Okay, then I'm just going to fit it over here. Let me zoom in on this. This is going to take a little bit more precision. Move it over. It's going to start up where the tail starts. Now I want to go back to my direct select tool, right, and edit each one of these points. So I'm going to bring this out. Yeah, say yes to that. When a dialog box comes up, I'm going to bring this. I don't want it to go over the edge, so something like this. And then move this in a little. Actually, I'm going to move it off. Yeah, it's fine. And again, you can use these little handles here to kind of fine tune it. So I'm going to click here, use this handle. I don't want it to be, yeah, something like that. Okay, close. Okay, now here's the key. I'm going to go and delete half of this. So I'm going to go to my rectangular marquee tool on the toolbar, and I'm going to kind of just right where the tail feather kind of starts, I'm just going to drag and then hit delete on my keyboard. Do it. This has to actually be broken down. It's a live shape, so I have to be pretty happy with what I have here. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to go to Layer, Rasterize Shape. Now, with this drawn on here, I can hit delete and see how that goes away now. So Command D, deselect, and it's not perfect down here. So now I can go here and Command T, transform. The problem is that I do not have the shape anymore, the live shape, but I can Command T, and I can go into my warp tool, and I can just bring this down if I need to, right, and get it lined up. See that? Look at this. I'm bringing it right down to the edge here and get that lined up, and I'm trying to go straight down now. See, I'm straight down. If I hold shift, I think I can, no, it won't let me go straight down, but I'm kind of eyeballing it there. And then up here, I'm going to actually kind of move this one up so it's kind of covering there. So that looks pretty good, right? This is your trickiest thing. Luckily, you only have to do it once to move it down a little bit, or I can Command T, go back again, warp. So sometimes people think warp is like this thing that you're going to distort stuff with, but I actually use warp more for doing stuff like this than distorting anything. So hit the check mark. Okay, that looks pretty good. Little teeny bit there. Okay, that's going to bug me. Command T. Let me zoom way in. I couldn't see it. And go over, and I'm going to do the warp and just cover over that black. I don't want to see that. And check. Okay. Now you don't want to use the warp too much because it is going to pixelate as you kind of keep going with it. So now I've got this, and I can clearly go back to my move tool and duplicate this option, click and drag. And now I want to reverse it. So I'm going to go to edit and transform, and I can flip either horizontal or vertical, right? And if I flip horizontal, it's going to go that way, and then I can move this up into place. And look at how my smart guides are helping me line that up. So you want to get it kind of lined up here best you can, right? Now you can use your arrow keys to move it around if you need to. Awesome. Now you can do the 3 lines on either side, right, to get that going here. So really quickly, I'm going to do the 3 lines on each, or 2. I'll make it a little different than Charlie's. I'm going to make it 2 lines plus just for speed. So I'm going to go here to our shapes. Oops. I'm going to go back here to our shapes and go to line tool, and it's going to remember the last, kind of stuff that I had. So that's not really great. So I'm going to go to black on the stroke. I think 73 was what I had before, which is great. Nothing on the fill. And then I'm going to make the longest one first. Kind of do that. Oh, it needs to be a little bigger. Okay, so then I can go here and slide this. So we want it the same as the other one. So it looks pretty close. 707. Did I make it 7? I think I had it 7. Perfect. Yeah, that's what I had. All right, so I've got that one, and then I can make a second one. So zoom in, move over, and I'm gonna get this right there and just extend it. Oop. Make a case for, oh, I didn't, you know what I didn't do? I didn't lock these two layers here. So I'm gonna lock this and lock that. And then now I can go here and extend that guy down. So you can use the transform if you want. Something like this. Now Charley Harper was doing this all by hand. He didn't have Photoshop or Illustrator, and clearly you could do this in Illustrator and it would come out probably even better because Illustrator is made for this, the vector graphic program, right? So, you know, that would probably be, you know, your best bet if you did it in Illustrator. Command T. Something like that. And then we'd put those on the other side, right? Maybe you'd want to do that before you copy it over so you don't have to like kind of do this all over again, but whatever. I've got both these over here now, and I've just hold shift down on my layers and then hold down Option or Alt and drag them. Then I'm going to go to Edit while they're still selected, and I'm going to go to Transform Path and flip horizontal, and then they're going the other way, and then you can just line them up. So I got them pretty good there and get them better. And then the last two things is his little stick legs with the balls on it, and the balls are the same size as the eyes, so I'm just going to reuse the eye. So let me put this here. This is all wings. I'm going to unlock those. This is now going to be my wing group or wings. And again, I like to be organized with these folders. And then last one is the stick legs. So I'm going to go down and grab that. And I'm going to do, looks like it's the same color as the body. Weird. I'm going to make them black. Well, why not? So I'm going to go here and create one. And make that a little bigger. 7 px for pixels. So it matches everything else. And then create another one. And they don't have to be exactly like his, right? We can make variations. And then Option, click and drag on this. And where are they? They are like right here where the wings, right, meet. And then zoom in. And I want them to kind of like be behind the body. So I'm actually going to take the two legs and put them in a folder. So I'm going to hold shift down and folder and legs, and I want them to be coming out from underneath the body, so I'm going to actually drag them below the body layer, and so that then they'll be hidden behind. So see how when I move them up they're hidden behind there, so that's better. And then I'm going to take the two eye, I'm going to take an eye and I'm going to Option, see, right, one of these, I'm going to Option click and drag, got the copies. Now I'm going to take this one, oops, I made the eyes copied. Now I certainly don't want them to all both be at the same time, so I want just this one to move. And so you want to go to auto select layer, so that up here on the options bar, so you can move one at a time. And I know they're in the eyes thing, but whatever, you can move them later. And then put them for the little knobby knees. Cute, something like that. So there we go. There's our, and again, I would fix this head a little bit, but I think that's pretty good. So there's our Charley Harper Cardinal. A little slight variation on Charley Harper. Hey, post it on Instagram, tag Charley Harper official on there. They'll get a kick out of it. They love when people kind of honor and you know, give praise to Charley. He's long since passed, but his artwork lives on. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and we'll talk to you soon.